Anterior tibialis is an extremely important muscle in the front of the lower leg. Oftentimes overlooked because it's really only noticeable when it becomes very dysfunctional in things like shin splints, but it's an essential for proper gait. Typically when we learn anatomy though, we learn about the action of a muscle. So anterior tibialis is a dorsiflexor and an inverter of the foot. But in day-to-day activities like walking, it's doing the opposite. It's decelerating the foot each time our heel strikes. So its primary use is actually in eccentric load, that it's lengthening against resistance. So the anterior tibialis sits between the large bone, the tibia, and the small bone, the fibula on the outside, comes across the inside of the foot and attaches to the medial cuneiform and the head of the first metatarsal, here at the proximal end. When we use a TheraBand here to mimic the muscle, we can see that as the muscle shortens, it pulls the foot up and in. Now, when we walk, the muscle is in a contracted state, and when the heel strikes, it should control the rate at which the foot falls. So we get this controlled, smooth motion. But it also, because it's an inverter, it controls the roll from the initial heel strike on the outside of the heel. We go down the outside of the foot and roll through onto the big toe so that we can toe off. That process is known as pronation. So when the muscle is functioning well, we get a smooth heel strike, roll through, and a toe off on the big toe side. When the muscle is weak, however, we can either get sudden foot flop with a heavy walk, we'll hear this heavy footfall, or more frequently, we will get what's known as hyperpronation. So hyperpronation is when we roll through, the foot falls excessively. And this will cause a dropping of the arch, as well as an observable, almost like a roll out, an external tilt to the calcaneum. So when we observe clients with a weak anterior tibialis in a standing position, particularly from a posterior view, we'll see that the Achilles looks like it's slightly curved and that the calcaneum is kind of tilted out. A low arch would also be a good indicator of dysfunction in this muscle. Symptom-wise, most people won't tend to notice this all that much until it becomes a problem if they develop something like shin splints, which is really just a dynamic compartment syndrome. Because the muscle is weak and inhibited, its fascia sometimes gets stuck in a long position. And when that happens, it is using up all of its available length in this stretched out position and has nowhere to expand to. So when the muscle starts working and starts to increase blood flow to the muscle, we get this pump, and there's nowhere for that expansion to take place. It starts to compress the small lymphatic capillaries. This will result in a buildup of a well-known metabolite, lactic acid. And that gives us the characteristic burn down the front of the shin when we get shin splints. But anterior tibialis is more important than that it does help to enable the proper foot mechanics to stabilize and lift the arch, to maintain the position of the metatarsal heads. And when very weak, it can, as we said, contribute to that low arch, but also contribute to things like deviation of the big toe, resulting in things like bunions. So really important muscle. It's typically weak and inhibited because its antagonist, posterior tibialis, is so prone to being short, tight, and facilitated. So what we're going to do next is take a look at these muscle compartments, and then in particular look at the stirrup system, the four muscles involved in the medial and lateral stabilization of the foot. So let's take a look at our augmented reality. So now from this view, we can see both legs showing slightly different things. On this near leg here, we see anterior tibialis running down the front of the leg and attaching into the foot. But in the far leg here, we are actually seeing the compartments. So let's zoom in and take a look at those muscle compartments and compare anterior tibialis's location to posterior tibialis. So if we rotate the model and we have a look at the back compartments, we can see mark number 1 there, we have gastroc and soleus, and that's described as the posterior compartment, a group of muscles in a particular fascial envelope. Number 2 shows the deep posterior compartment, where we have muscles like posterior tibialis, and then we have the movers of the toes. So we have hallucis on one side and digitorum on the other. Now, when we spin the model around, we'll see the lateral compartment muscles here listed as number 3. That's our fibularis longus and brevis. And then in the anterior compartment, we see the muscles cut. So we can see our anterior tibialis is number 4 here. And then we have, again, our toe movers. So we have extensor digitorum, and just in at the back we can see a little bit of extensor hallucis longus down in the compartment. So those are our 4 muscle compartments. When we look at the actual muscle itself, we'll see anterior tibialis here. So originating just on or below the tibial plateau, and it's running down by the shin, and we see the tendon wrapping around onto the inside of the foot. Let's change our view for a second, and we'll be able to see where these muscles are attaching on the foot. So here the leg is slightly enlarged. It's a bit out of proportion, but we can see quite clearly anterior tibialis and its attachment site onto this medial aspect of the foot here, onto the medial cuneiform. So it's connecting to the medial cuneiform and onto the proximal end of the first metatarsal. So it's really in the high point of the arch, and we can see from its point of attachment that it has a mechanical advantage to really lift the arch, maintain proper arch, as well as perform its mechanical functions during gait. So let's take a look at some treatment for anterior and posterior tibialis.